Edmonton Oilers 2, Calgary Flames 1. Welcome back to the Day After Reaction. Myself, Waz. Coombsy's joining me today to review the Battle of Alberta. A bit of a next day, obviously, Day After Reaction. And it was dramatic, to say the least. A little bit. Not as dramatic as previous affairs between these two. But, Coombsy, let's get into it. Stuart Skinner. God bless him.
Yeah, that was a masterclass from Stuart Skinner. I'm not going to lie. Look, I'll preface this by saying I'm never going to complain about the Oilers beating the Flames. And sometimes when you look at it, you're just like, the key is just them pulling off a win no matter what happens. And sometimes it's a little more entertaining. It's a little funnier when it's kind of a goofy win. So you have this win for the Oilers in which they got doubled in shots. Stuart Skinner made 46 saves and the Oilers only threw 22 shots on Jacob Markstrom. It's kind of funny when the Oilers pull out a win like that where the Flames can justifiably say, hey, we probably should have won that one. It leaves a nice sour taste in the mouth of Calgary fans, and that's kind of what we like to see. But undoubtedly, when you look at this game, it was a Stuart Skinner game. That's what it was. And I mean, I think we've been saying this for quite some time, and the Oilers have made it clear given the 3-year contract extension he was given. But the Oilers have found themselves a legitimate starting goaltender here in Stuart Skinner, and it's fantastic. And he seems to be always getting up for these big games. When they play the Flames, Skinner shows up and he plays well. That entire game, he looks so calm and so composed in the net. He looked like a veteran, and he stole that one for the Oilers. Sometimes you need it. I mean, we can sit here and say, oh, look, like I would have liked for the Oilers to dominate Calgary, double them in shots and just win the game. But sometimes you need your goalie to steal you one, and that's what Skinner did.
Yeah, that's something about I think a lot of Oilers fans have wanted for a while is a goalie to be able to steal a game here and there. You know, we talk about Jack Campbell. We want him to do that to kind of prove his worth. And, we're getting this from Stuart Skinner, which is awesome. It's kind of what we want from our goalie. Sometimes, our offensive, our big guns aren't going to be scoring 5 goals a night, and defensively, sure, we weren't great, but Stuart Skinner stole that for the Oilers in a big, division rivalry match. And unfortunately, that was the last matchup between the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers. Let's get into that. The scheduling, it's not fun. The Oilers have now played the Flames 3 times, and we're just closing up 2022. We don't even get to see them next year unless we counter them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I can't really wrap my head around that. I mean, I understand. I have no complaints about the fact that every NHL team plays every NHL team. As a baseball fan myself, a Toronto Blue Jays guy, I've watched the New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, and Tampa Bay Rays so many times in my life. I never want to see them again. So I'm not necessarily in favor of this suggestion that the Oilers should play the Flames and the Canucks 8, 9, or 10 times a year. We did that with the All-Canadian division. It was kind of a fun little thing for 1 year, but I wouldn't want to do that again. But the fact that they're only seeing each other 3 times, the Battle of Alberta, Edmonton and Calgary, 3 times over the course of an 82-game schedule, and the fact that all 3 of those games played before the turn of the new year. So we're not going to see the Flames down the stretch in, one of those hyper competitive March, early April games where teams are jockeying for playoff spots. I can't wrap my head around it. It seems like a weird mistake on the part of the NHL, especially how good this rivalry has been over the past few years. Even if they're playing only 3 times, make sure one of those games is in April. Just make sure that happens.
Now, the logic and reasoning behind that, I posted a video yesterday on Oilers Nation, Twitter, Instagram. Check it out. Apparently, this is something the NHL does year to year where it's confusing. The math is weird, but last year the Oilers only played the Ducks and Kraken 3 times, and there's a bit of a rotating order. So since last year we only played the Ducks and Kraken 3 times, this year we played the Canucks and Flames 3 times. It's a bit silly in my opinion. The NHL should really look at the value in this rivalry and say, hey, maybe we should give them one more game in March or April. It could be a tight affair, especially with how the Pacific's going. It's just weird, right? Like, I think I'm okay with 3 games, but to have them all like so close together, you had 2 in October, 1 in December, like you at least maybe leave 1 until March or April.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And I mean, I think all of us would be perfectly okay if it was one of the California teams in the Pacific Division that the Oilers only saw 3 times.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's going to be one of those, and the Oilers and the Canucks and the Flames all play each other 4 times. Lean into that geographic rivalry enough, but not too much. Find that nice middle ground. I think 4 is good. And again, like I said before, make sure there's 1 right at the end. The Oilers really should be finishing off their season playing Vancouver, and Calgary. Those are the
Yeah.
two teams they should be playing right at the end.
Now, the big talking point from this game was the knee-on-knee between Mackenzie Weegar and Connor McDavid. Now, whether the hit was clean or not isn't really what's been having people talking around Oilers Nation. It's the fact that no one really stood up for Connor McDavid. No one really came to help him after such a... It was a pretty brutal hit. I mean, I don't know if it was clean or not. I'm not an expert when it comes to that, but Cam, just give us your take on it.
I think given the context of the game, and I'll preface this by saying I can sort of understand why there wasn't necessarily a big response to it. I know that when you're in a game like this, it's really tight. You really want to win. Like we know, it was the last time these two teams were going to meet. It's a huge 4-point game for two teams that are very close in the standings. The Oilers really didn't want to give Calgary a power play opportunity, and that's exactly what would have happened if somebody jumped in and tried to fight with Mackenzie Weegar. There probably would have been a linesman there within half a second breaking it up, and then whoever did it would have gone to the box. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing about the instigator rule. I don't love it personally, but I mean, given the context, this is the Oilers and Flames rivalry. We all know it's really heated. We all know about last year's playoff series. We all know about those crazy games they had in 2019-20. Think about Mike Smith and Cam Talbot fighting. Think about those brawls. Think about all that. There's so much history here. And the fact that Mackenzie Weegar was just able to do that, nobody even looked. Nobody even thought. I think it would have been worth it to take the penalty. I mean, maybe if the Flames had gone ahead and scored on a power play immediately, I might be saying something a little bit different, but it just leaves a bit of a sour taste in your mouth watching your captain and your best player, the best player in the league, have to take a hit like that and have nobody go ahead and do anything about it. It's frustrating.
And Ryan Rashog just recently tweeted here, apparently Darnell Nurse said he didn't see the hit on McDavid, still hasn't seen it apparently. And he was the one who jumped in when Edler took up McDavid's knee earlier this year. So that's kind of weird.
I would also say that what this situation does point out is that the Oilers really badly miss having Evander Kane in the mix. I feel like if Evander Kane was on the line with McDavid, I mean, maybe Weegar still goes ahead and does the same thing. Maybe he doesn't. I can't read his mind. I don't know. But I think if Evander Kane was on the ice, that might be slightly less likely to happen, I think. Because if you look up and down Edmonton's roster, it's kind of like, who's going to jump in and do something when they're on the ice? It's going to be what? Nurse? And then your number one defenseman is sitting in the box, and that's not necessarily ideal. So again, lots of things to talk about here, but kind of just leaves a sour taste in your mouth. And once Evander Kane comes back, hopefully this kind of thing stops happening.
Yeah, hopefully the Oilers can also acquire a tough guy. Just recently on Oilers Nation, I put out a tweet. What would the Oilers' New Year's resolution be? And we had a response from Flames Nation, and they are saying, stand up for your teammate or stand up for your captain. So I think it's a good point.
Yeah, they're not wrong. That's a rare win for Flames Nation.
Cam, question for you. What would your New Year's resolution be for the Edmonton Oilers?
I think it's got to be either like having a nap before the game or like drinking Red Bull or something, because in the first half of the year, there's been way too many slow starts. I feel like that's one thing you can change just with effort. I mean, there's a lot of things when you look at the team. Maybe it's roster composition, maybe it's coaching, maybe it's luck, maybe it's blah, 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 blah. But there's one thing that they can control, and that's having a good hard start where they dictate the play of the game, and they need to find more energy in the first 5-10 minutes there and come out blazing more often, because we don't see it enough.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into the Day After Action with myself, Waz, and Cam. Don't forget to head to OilersNation.com for more in-depth analysis and whatnot. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you. We'll got 2 more games, so we'll see you next time.